Again, I'm Miss Gadlin Encartado, and I am your OLC here in Oral Communication in Context. So for the week one, our lesson for today is all about definition and principles of communication. So of course, at the end of this lesson, you will be able to understand why we need to study communication. You will be able to give the definition of communication, and of course, you will know and understand the principles and characteristics of education. So once born, we started communicating with our parents through crying when we are hungry, scared, or when we feel pain. And as we grow up, our family, the society teaches us how to speak, draw, read, and write. So when we were babies, we're doing communication subconsciously, meaning to say, subconsciously, we are not aware that we are communicating just by crying. So another here, communication is a complex process. Complex process means it comes from different forms. It can be oral, through words, just like what I'm doing right now, written, through letters, and of course, kinetic through body language or facial expressions. So we take it for granted because it is natural for us. It is a second nature for us to speak, use facial expressions, listen to each other, and to learn how to read and write. So everybody, look at the picture. Why do you think this happened to their project? Anyone?
Miscommunication po.
Miscommunication, very good. How about the others?
Ma'am, failing to work together po.
Okay, failing to work together or they don't have teamwork, right?
They have different goals.
Okay, very good. That is also correct. Okay, it's because they lack of communication. So another question, in your opinion, how could they have avoided this error? Anyone?
Ma'am, by communicating with each other po.
Very good. That is correct, Adrienne. By communicating with others. So see, we really need communication in our daily lives. So remember, speaking, listening, and understanding are key factors to successful communication. Learning how to be a good communicator opens a lot of opportunity for us in relationships, career, and in fulfilling our goals and dreams. So defining communication. So before, our ancestors used drawings, sounds, and gestures to communicate. But of course, as time goes by, we develop various mediums of communication. Now we have messenger, we can chat each other, we can call each other through phones, we can text them too, and of course, we can video call each other. So let's define communication. So when we say communication, it is originating from the Latin word communicare, meaning to share, unite, or join, can be defined as the process by which people share ideas or thoughts which can be understood by another through a chosen medium. So when we say communication, it is all about sharing ideas and thoughts. So this said medium can either be verbal or non-verbal. So verbal through words, non-verbal through actions. So overall, or in a nutshell, communication is to send and receive messages using a channel. Understood, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes po.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes po.
Now let us have these various forms of communication. So for the written words, we have here letters, text messages, emails, and of course, signs. For the actions, we have here hand gestures, facial expressions, and also postures. So that are the examples of actions. For the spoken words, of course, we delivered it orally, just like what I am doing right now. So next, let's move on to principles of communication. So number one, we have here schemata driven. When we say schemata or schema, it means it is based on our prior knowledge or prior or past experiences. Meaning to say, if you are the sender, you will deliver the message based on how you experience it. For example, you watch a movie and then the ending of the story was sad because the main characters broke up with each other. And of course, the next day you will tell it to your friend. And as a sender, because since you experience breaking up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, you will tell the story like, you know what? The main characters broke up with each other. You will tell it with feelings. But what if um you didn't experience break up? Of course, you will tell it like the main characters break up with each other. So it has an impact on how you deliver the message. So that is the meaning of schemata. You will send the message based on your experience. Okay, understood everyone? Hello?
Yes
Yes
po,
po,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes po.
Yes
Okay,
po,
now
ma'am.
let's have interpretative act. So when we say interpretative act, from the word itself, interpret. So meaning to say it is more focused on the receiver on how he or she will going to interpret the message that comes from the sender. Okay, so that is the meaning of interpretative act. The receiver will interpret the message. Next, let's have here communication is active, forceful, or powerful. Okay, so example of this is in the Western countries, calling an adult not related to you by their first name is acceptable. Like if you call them um, Mary or John, even though you are they are older than you, it is okay for them. They will not be offended. But here in the Philippines, if you call someone for their from their first name, like Hannah, something like that, even though they're older to you, they will get offended. Of course, you have to add ate, ate Hannah, kuya Jan, or tito, tita, something like that. So what is rude in one culture can be perceived as something acceptable in one another. Next, let's have here communication is symbolic. So example of this is what if someone cross his or her arms? What do you think is the meaning of that? If someone cross his or her arms, anyone? How will you
Ma-
interpret that action? Yes? What do you
Ano po?
think is the ano
Ah,
po?
bored or waiting for someone.
Okay, very good. It can be he or she is bored or he's waiting for someone. Aside from bored or waiting for someone, what if someone cross his or her arms?
Ma'am, ano po? Ah, galit po, ma'am. O kaya po
Okay.
nadidismaya.
Okay, very good. So that are the possibilities. How about when someone raise his or her eyebrows? If someone,
Confused po.
okay, confused. Very good, Cariza. How about the others? So we have different
Surprise.
interpret. Okay, surprise. Okay, that is also correct. We have different interpretations. So communication is symbolics. Next, let's have here communication always result in something. So example of this is your parents told you that your everyday task is to cook dinner for your family. But one time you became busy and you forgot to cook your dinner. What do you think will be the result or the outcome of that? Anyone? Your everyday task is to cook dinner for your family because your parents told you to. And then one time you became busy because you have so many homeworks, something like that, and you forgot to cook. What do you think will happen or what do you think is the result? There are so many
Magagalit.
possibilities. Okay, your parents will get mad. How about the others?
Ma'am, sasabihin sa kanila naman na may gagawin ka, ma'am, para hindi sila magalit, ma'am.
Okay, it can be. So of course, you don't have something to eat for your dinner or you will eat late. So communication always result in something. Next, let's have your communication is irreversible. So there is this saying, are you familiar in this saying that you can't take back the stone right after you throw it? So it only means that we can't take back what we already said. So that is why we really need to think before we say something. Most especially on social media before we post something. We have to think before you click because communication is irreversible, meaning to say you cannot take it back. You cannot take back what you already said. Okay? So that is the meaning of communication is irreversible. How about number 7? Communication is contextual. So, context refers to the circumstances of the situation in which communication is taking place. So, meaning to say, we have different cultures. So, we have to consider cultural differences when communicating to avoid any negative impact due to the effects of the factors above. So, next, let's have here communication is progressive. So communication is progressive just like what I said earlier ago. Before we only cry when we were babies, we only cry when we feel pain or when we're hungry or when we need something. But as time goes by, we learned how to say mama, papa, and of course as of now, we now know how to talk. So communication is progressive. You go through different levels as you strive to improve your abilities to interact with other people. So it is progressive. Next, let's have communication is a process. Esther is raising her hand. Yes, Esther?
Several stages of communication take place when people convey and exchange ideas with one another. Each stage differs from the other. Elements or components work in a coordinated manner that complete the process.
Okay, thank you, Esther. So I have here the illustration of the process of communication. So of course, first we have here, can you see what I'm sharing?
Yes,
We
ma'am.
have
Yes, ma'am.
here,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
okay, we have here the sender. It can be you or the person who is talking to you. So next, we will have encoding or encode. It means constructing message through your mind. So after you construct message through your mind, we will go to the channel. So it is the means of communication or how will you deliver the message? Is it through speaking? Is it through writing or broadcasting? And many more. So that is the meaning of channel. How will you deliver the message or it is the means of communication. So once you construct the message and then you're going to deliver it. When the message is ready, it will transmit to the receiver. And then, of course, the receiver will receive the message. He or she will decode it. He or she will listen or read the message. So after he listen and read the message, she will going to have a feedback or reactions. And of course, the process will continue. But just a reminder po, no response is also a response. Next, let's have here, communication is ethical. Can you please read the meaning of this? Roji, he is raising his hand.
Communication is ethical. A communicative event is expected to follow rules, values, and beliefs agreed upon by members of society. These standards determine which cultural group you belong to. Going against these conventions make the interaction with others wrong or unethical.
Okay, very good. So communication is ethical. So meaning to say we have different beliefs. So we have to make sure that when we are communicating with others, we have to respect where they came from, respecting each other's culture. So it means ethics. How about communication is influenced by technology and media? Stephen Martin is raising his hand. Stephen, can you please read?
Communication is influenced by technology and media. Communication is a current age of technologies is characterized by the instant, real-time exchange of knowledge, message, and services. The rapid speed of communication influences how people construct their message and what platform they use to send their message.
Okay, thank you. So just like what I said earlier, before our ancestor only used drawing, sounds, and gestures to communicate. But now we can get instant text messages, instant video calls because of the technology. And of course, the rapid speed of communication influence how people construct their message. So example of this is before when we only have phones na not touchscreen, yung dipindot lang, we used to text, "Where na you?" And then the other person will respond, "Dito na mi." But now we have touchscreen phones, the usual word that we can see on social media or what do you call this? Or messenger is sana all. What else? OTW means on the way. So we have many new words that we discover. So can you please give me example of new words that we get from media? You can chat it on the chat box. How about BRB? Do you know that word? G or game. Very good. That is right, the verbo. Cariza, BTW. So it means, by the way, that is a GGWP. What does that mean, Stephen? Ah,
Good game, well played.
again, good gamer.
Well played po.
Good game, well played po.
I see. Good game. Well played. Wow. Okay. FYI, for your information, be right back, BRB, according to the verbo. Okay, that is correct. OMW, on my way, right? TYT, I am not familiar.
Talk to
What
you,
does
take your time.
take your time? I see. Okay. LT, laugh trip. Yeah, right? BRB, be right back. ILY, I love you. SLR, sorry, late reply. LOL, laughing out loud.
SNL po.
SML, share mo lang, right?
SNL,
IMY,
SNL.
SNL, what does it mean?
Sorry now lang.
Sorry no lang. I miss you. DIY, do it yourself. Very good. That is so ATM at the moment. LF, looking for. Okay. HM, right? When when you see something on Facebook and you want to buy it, you want to know how much it costs. I'm so sorry. Okay. So do you now understand communication is influenced by technology and media, everyone? PM, private message, FYI. Okay. Let's move on our last slide for today. So why we need to study oral communication? Oral communication competence, both in listening and speaking, is mandatory to the success of a person academically, professionally, and in their personal lives. So it means we need it for us to be success academically, professionally, and of course, in our personal lives. So poor listening skills lead to people being unable to absorb and understand instructions. So this issue intensifies as they respond incorrectly or inappropriately because of deplorable speaking skills. Being able to articulate your ideas and opinions adds value to oneself. So skills in oral communication transcends the academic and professional setting. Competence in listening and speaking can also contribute to personal fulfillment. So that would be all for today. If you have questions or clarifications, you may now chat it on the chat box.